Awesome. So here are our first batch of phase one projects, or our first batch of projects, comma, colon phase one. Um, yeah, we got four projects to look at today. And basically just gonna one of y'all is gonna share your screen from your pair and walk us through your project, tell us about it, what it does, show off some of the functionality, maybe show off some code, and then we'll ask questions afterwards. And yeah, should be pretty zippy. So let's just go down the line here. And we'll start off with Anthony and Ryan's XKCD random generator. One of y'all want to share screen?
Sure.
Woo-hoo.
Uh, let's see. What screen do I want? I think I want this screen. We'll see. Did I want this screen? Does this look like a website?
That looks like something.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, and let's not go too far. Uh, so we did a sort of just a little API endpoint for generating random XKCD comics. And ended up that the cores issue was a large issue, and we just spoofed some data into the db.json instead, and it's running on the live server, and everything's working out with that. So we've got some random buttons. You can hit that, and it does any of these 50. It'll these are all links. It hovers and changes the thing to show the user that it's a link, and you can click it and do the thing. Um, that's what Pi is. And then we've got a form over here. You can go ahead and put in a username and a profile picture. I recommend the Batman rubber duck for all of your profile pictures. Um, we can like everything that persists to the server. This part doesn't persist. It's not a real login anyway, so I didn't really see the need to persist it. Then I think other than the transcript stuff, which is sometimes very funnily formatted and extremely long, uh, everything works out and formats basically as intended. Some of the comics are huge. I don't know, the big one. That's a kind of big one. And the grid, the middle of it, I put in a fractional unit so that you would see like all of the things in the middle to show and not like flow over each other, since the middle thing is always going to be a very differently sized picture. And then last but certainly not least, you can flashbang yourself with the light dark mode button. It's pretty good. Yeah, that's our project.
Cool. Tell me about like what was the tell me about some things that you struggled with, like what things were difficult, either of you.
The API.
Yeah.
That was just the biggest struggle in my life so far.
What kind of stuff were you hitting with it?
It like just wouldn't work for the life of me. Like fetching it, like kept giving me an error. And then when we did that workaround with the no cores, it worked for one line. And then the next line it was broken again. So yeah, days just banging my head and then just erasing everything and just going with throwing it in the DBJSON.
If you had like another week to work on this, what would you add?
I would add some string formatting for the transcript stuff.
Hmm.
Take out the brackets, make it look a little nicer, and then definitely a lot more messing with the CSS because that's I really haven't done much CSS, and it's a lot of work
Yeah.
to do just a little bit of stuff.
Yep.
Like it's like, you know, very, very short 70 lines of code, but it was a lot of fine tuning stuff to try to get it close to what I wanted. So I definitely do a lot more work on that.
Awesome. Anything for you, Anthony?
Yeah, just pretty much clean it up a little bit, make it a little bit like on the right side, put that in like a little block,
Mhm.
so it looks a little bit more organized. And then I was thinking later on, like at towards the end, I was like, what if we put like a next or a previous button
Yeah.
as well? Um, just things like that.
Nice. Anyone have any questions about this or comments or anything? Cool. Pretty straight up. Good stuff. Congratulations. Love it. Awesome. Moving right along. Let's get Juan then to present the dog liker they got.
All right, let me see here. Mm, Okay, can you guys see this?
Yeah.
All right, so this is kind of, we took inspiration from the Toy Tail liker, but we have a form here where you can add your dog to the place. And then we have, the like button for each of the dogs. And then we also added this filter form here. So say you wanted to filter it by the most likes, you can do that. And then it hides it. If you want to filter by the least likes, do that and it'll hide it. And then we also added a filter so you can search by the dog breed. So like Chihuahua, and it'll pull up all the Chihuahuas. There's only one, but but yeah. And then we also added this little button here. Say you pulled up the filter form, but you didn't want to actually filter anything, so it'll just hide it. And then let me go ahead and, or you know what? I don't think the JSON server is running. JSON. Okay. Just go ahead and show that the this form works. There they are. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool. Where did you pull the dog data from? Or did you just make it up yourself?
Yeah, we made a JSON file. We didn't want to like even attempt to try getting a new API because we knew that it was going to be a whole hassle. So we
Mhm.
wanted to stick with what we were comfortable with, which is, yeah, we chose the db.json.
Cool. Can you tell me a little bit about the filter stuff?
Yeah, the filter stuff, this was a part that actually struggled with the most
Mhm.
because we had to take multiple approaches when it came to these two right here, by the most liked and by the least liked.
Mhm.
And let me see if I could pull up the code here. Sure. Here it is. This is all the JavaScript for the filter stuff. Yeah, we had a lot of trouble. This is the function for the filter by likes. Originally, I tried to do it one way and it just was too much of a hassle, and it gave me a hard time. So I was like, I'm just gonna delete all this and I'm gonna start over. I'm trying from a new approach. And then yeah, eventually we got it working.
Can you talk me through that last bit there with the for loop?
So let me just remind myself what I did here. So we have this filtered dog likes, which is an array, and then it collects all the likes attributes of all the objects in the database. And then we iterate through the length of that array. And essentially what we want to do is we create a dogs array which filters it filters all the dogs with the amount of likes, because sometimes we have more than one dog that has the same amount of likes.
Mhm.
So instead of it just being one dog, it would become an array. And then if that length is greater than one, then it'll render the dog, and then it'll also increment the for loop ahead so we don't go over the dog multiple times.
Mhm.
And then if there's only one dog in that array, then we just render it out. And yeah.
I think you can. Is there? I'm looking at like why that the length greater than one thing. 'Cause it seems like that would do the same thing. Oh, I guess no, that's right. The less than, yeah, never mind. You got it. Cool. Yeah.
Right.
I have some thoughts, but that's cool. Look pretty good. I think a lot of stuff can be done with more looking at filters and sorts and
Uh-huh.
or something, but doing it by hand, making it work, good stuff.
Okay.
I guess same question. Like, if you had another week, what would you add to this?
I would definitely add more. I would want to add like a comment section to each of the dogs just under them, just so people can type whatever they want.
Mhm.
And then I would also want to add some more CSS to this filter form, because I feel like it looks a little beat. But yeah, I think that would be it.
Cool. Anyone else with questions? Thoughts?
I think the filter looks cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
We'll pop up. Cool. Anything else?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Cool. Good stuff.
Thank you, guys.
Sweet. Next up, we have John and Maddox with a address book.
All right, let me mess up down. All right, cool. For our project, we decided to go with an address book. It's pretty simple in its functionality. You can add a new contact here if you want. We can select our contacts down this list if you want. I'm gonna go ahead and add one right now. So this persists down the database as well. So any deletes, adds, they're all going to be there. In contact, and there we have right there. Got a guy down there. Really simple stuff. Originally we had planned to make a recipe finder,
Mhm.
but we could not get the APIs to work, so we ended up just making up our own database with the Makaru just to
Mhm.
generate addresses and stuff.
Cool.
Oh yeah, you can delete things too. Boom. That guy's gone. I'm out of here. It's kind of it. Nothing too fancy.
Cool. Yeah, I think again, same question. If you had another week, what would you add?
Definitely we talked about adding like maybe like moving the contact list like this is over here, make like a plus button, some filters for like, uh the contacts filtered by name. Um yeah, and probably try to figure out like different CSS now because like we made it like this. But I feel like it's missing something. I don't
Hmm.
know. I feel like something else could pop out more. But I don't know, Maddox, did I miss anything?
I think I would just mostly add some more CSS stuff. I don't know what, but something. And then maybe have the names on the left like sort alphabetically
Oh,
and
yeah,
have like a search button, something like that.
yeah, adding some searching and filtering stuff would be cool. What parts did you find difficult here?
Let me
Probably
pull up.
mostly the CSS.
Mhm.
Yeah, the code is actually let me see if I can pull it up. Give me 1 second. How do I change screens? Do you have to stop it and reshare it? Oh, here we go. I found it. This was kind of our code. It wasn't anything too difficult. We got a lot of inspiration from the labs that we did in the past.
Mhm.
So that was kind of helpful.
One
Yeah,
thing
definitely.
that tripped me up there in the JavaScript file is when I would delete something, it would delete everything I had clicked on previously
Mhm.
on the website. So that took me a little bit to fix. But
Yeah, I took a stab at the trying to do delete button too, and I ended like it was weird. I couldn't get it to like. I think it was the way that I had set up the rest of the files. Oh,
Mhm.
sorry, I'm by an airbase and they're practicing for a show. Yeah, it's the delete button definitely was. I had different ideas for like how to kind of get that working, and it didn't really pan out. So
Mhm.
Matt took a stab at it, and that's the one we got.
Cool, cool. Anyone else got any questions or comments? All right. Good stuff. Let's wrap it up with Travis and Wes's flashbacks.
All right. Nope. That is the wrong. Come on. There we go. Why won't my clicks stay? Okay. Here we go. I think. Are you seeing the flashbacks?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, so we made just like a little trivia game with pretty simple UI here. So when the page loads, it will load a random question from one of 5 categories that we selected. We went the db.json route as well. The API we were pulling from limited us like to pull an API directly. It had limited 50 questions.
Mhm.
Well, we want more than that, so we basically took 50 from 5 of their categories that they had and just copy and pasted them all together into our db.json so that we could have kind of a variety of different stuff in there in a larger number. We also added then, so this add new question button will hide, open and hide the submit form, so you can actually add a new question into the repository, and all of these new questions will persist and stay. And then as you're playing, you might see one randomly pop up.
Mhm.
And then as I go through and, start to play, right, I can answer a question. It will tell me, with an alert, it's actually based on my screen share settings. You might not see the alert, but it is there. And it'll also then change to green, right? And then the streak counter will go up by 1. I can say, great, I got 1. I'll go on to the next question. Say, okay, which NBA player has the most games played over the course of their career? I don't know, maybe it's Kareem. Nope, I got it wrong. And then my streak goes back down to 0. And it'll highlight as red, and it will let me go in and try again until I actually do get it right. And then my streak will go up by 1. And as I hit next question, you'll see as the category adjusts, this little image and title here will show up and display which category am I actually working in with this particular question, and stuff like that. So then I'll let Wes jump in and talk a little bit about the filter that we added and show some of the cool things that he found with the code.
Yeah, thanks. Good demo. I've been playing the game so far. I've been able to get a streak of I think 13 is my high streak before I miss a question, but so you don't have all the answers memorized out of the 250 choices. So yeah, it was some of it was pretty straightforward. We initially also had a CORS problem with the JSON database, because trying to fetch a local file with a HTTP protocol was bringing up problems, but Travis helped get that working and figure it out. So the toughest stuff in the code, I think, was getting the filter to work right. So you could select one or more categories of questions, or select none of them. And so I did that with there's an event listener on that filter category on that little, I guess you could call it a drop down. It's not technically a drop down, but the little menu of categories. Mm-hmm. So when the options change, the user selects options in there, then we have a function called filter questions that's called with the selected categories as an argument, and that generates a new question. And so if no category is selected, then filtered questions is the same as our all questions variable. So yeah, that was tricky to get it working. It was a lot of kind of trial and error, and internet research on a variety of sites, whatever I could find on the array filter function. And finally I got it to work. So that was pretty satisfying. Then the other part that was pretty cool was getting the answer choices to come out in shuffle, because in our database, the way the answers are listed, each question is an object, and one of the keys is correct answer, and the value of that is the correct answer. And then one of the keys is incorrect answer, which has, an array of 3 incorrect answers for each question. And so to get the incorrect answers to appear shuffled with the correct answer was a little bit tricky. So I was doing also internet sleuthing on how to do shuffle array. So the way we got that to work is by using this algorithm called the Fisher-Yates shuffle, which evidently is a well-known shuffle algorithm, which has been around since the 30s. So since, really before, the type of computing that we're seeing here. And so what it does is it creates a random permutation of an array. So in our case, that shuffles the answer options for each question. And I can talk a little bit more about how that works. To the extent that I understand it, this is one that I had to go back and read about, because it was a lot of trial and error also, just getting it to work the way that we wanted to, or getting it to work period, without any error messages. So if it wasn't like functionality kind of issue, or having in the wrong operators, then it was like syntactical, like missing a curly bracket or whatever that was breaking it. So finally I got it all figured out, and so that was also, it's pretty fun to work through it and get it finally working consistently.
Yeah, cool. So does anyone else have any questions about any of this stuff, or comments about the code or the project itself?
Did you guys build all 250 questions in the database by yourself?
No, we cut and pasted them. So the API that we worked with, like Travis was saying, could generate 50 questions at a time. So we just had it generate 50 history questions and then pasted those into the db.json. And then we did have to, Travis went through and physically assigned each one of them an ID, because that wasn't one of the elements. So that was good that gave us additional functionality.
Yeah, that was like we had gotten to a point early on where we were like Wes's code for like the display and the shuffling of the answers and stuff, and the like button to move on to the next question was working. And we were having to do that through like the live server extension, but then the submit form wasn't working at all. And it ended up being that we had to add those IDs, but then got that part to work without live server, and then the other parts broke, and it was like syntactical things that needed updating. And then one thing that I want to call out, like as far as a struggle, was like we kind of anticipated that figuring out the filter would be the toughest part. And at least in my mind, I was like, well, it's a filter, so it will use a filter, the dot filter thing. Of course, why not? It's called filter. So I was messing around with a bunch of stuff, and was getting halfway there with not the filter, but the for each. Wes ended up figuring this out with like the dot map method in like 10 lines of code, versus what I had halfway working was like pushing 40 lines of code and a lot of repeat stuff. So yeah, it just kind of goes to show that sometimes less is more. This, and yeah, as far as like stuff I'd want to add, I didn't really think about this until like an hour or so ago. But it is possible, right, for me to like get served the same question, a few down the line. So, if we had another week, maybe figure out a way to, make that next question button only pull from questions that have not yet been displayed while you're going. Because I could, get this correct, and then 3 questions later, it just happens to pop up again for me.
Yep.
And then I would like to kind of make the filter itself prettier. Like in my mind, it was like a true drop down that you could kind of select, but to get it allowing the multi-select, this is kind of how it was. We're like, all right, fine, it's working. Like, we're happy that it works.
Nice. For the randomization thing, the making sure you don't get a duplicate, think about, so if you were playing this trivia game in a physical game, what would question selection probably look like?
You draw from a pile, and then once the question has been drawn, it goes into the used question pile.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So doing it like a stack or going through a list of shuffled stuff definitely helps that out.
Yeah. Probably wouldn't be too hard to get that to work.
Yeah, I think you do it pretty quick.
Yep.
Sweet. Other questions or comments? Cool. That is it then. Good stuff. Love it. Awesome. That is the end of project presentations and the end of phase 1. Officially 1/5 of the way through. You did it. So cool. Yeah. any before we move on, any like overall thoughts about the projects or the project week or how any of that worked? Anything at all? Good.
I
Cool.
just say somehow project weeks for me seem to be like the least stressful
Yeah.
week by far. But I think Ryan mentioned this morning, like now we've kind of seen how it goes, and I'm like, okay, I know we're starting week 1 again, so that I might get beaten down a little bit again, but I know how I feel now at the end of week 3, and I can hopefully expect to feel that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and kind of to that point, the first 4 cohorts are structured pretty much the same. First week or so is like all the things. You get all the labs, all the exercises, the lessons and stuff. Second week is kind of preparation for and then taking code challenges, and third week is going to be projects all the time. So the rhythm of the last 3 weeks is pretty much how each one is going to go. So just to kind of brace yourselves for the fire hose to open back up. Yeah, and if you look in Canvas, it looks like we have the phase 2 stuff open. I don't know, it doesn't look like everything is opened up, so I'll make sure that everything is up there. If you feel like it, take a poke through and just kind of get a feel for what it is. Basically, React is going to be a framework, or not framework, a library that sits. It's built with JavaScript, so and it use that with your JavaScript application to basically take care of some of the trickier parts, kind of automating, keeping track of stuff in state, so you don't have to worry about like keeping variables around or whatever. React has a nice thing to do that with, rendering stuff to the page instead of having to like blow stuff away or render into something or make your own rendering stuff. React is all about that part, so that's really easy. And doing the fetch stuff is pretty much the same. So yeah, take a peek through that. We have I'm pretty sure we have a list of kind of the recommended order and schedule for going through labs and stuff. I'll track that down and post it in the channel. But otherwise, yeah, if you want to look through stuff, look through stuff. If you want to just rest. I think we'll do standout early, so we'll do it right after lunch, so y'all can take advantage of the weekend and get a little bit of extra rest before jumping in. Then Monday we'll hit the ground running and do the thing. All right, any questions about any of this or anything going forward so far?
Yeah, in the phase 2 thing, there's in the prep for code challenges section,
Mhm.
it looks like that's the stuff we did in the pre-work. Is that
Let's see, prep for code challenge.
like the Python installation stuff?
Oh, look at that. Yeah, that should all be stuff that you are already doing. I don't know why they have the Python stuff in there. Interesting. Yeah,
That's on my phase 1 too.
yeah.
Yeah.
It might be repeated across all phases just to make sure that
Okay.
people who are jumping back in have it set up right. But yeah, if you already did all that, don't worry about it. Yeah, cool. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, sweet. Thanks for calling that out. What else we got? All right. Cool. Well, that is phase 1 pretty much officially over. We'll break and meet again in 2 hours and change. We'll do stand up and whatnot then, and get that weekend going for you. Cool. Good stuff, everyone. I'll see y'all in a little bit.